Well, this is what you've all been waiting for. And could we just have another round of applause for the candidates for being here? I would say we are truly blessed as an organization, as a small business community, to have the quality of candidates who are here today, and just delighted that they could all be with us. Before we begin, let's talk about a couple of ground rules. You should all know that the order in which the candidates will speak was determined by a random draw. Each candidate will have 5 minutes. This is not a debate, it is a forum. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to answer this question. What is your vision of Michigan for small business, especially as it relates to economic development strategy? We've asked that the candidates not address each other, but focus on this question. And with that said, and those rules in place, let me introduce our first candidate. Attorney General Bill Schuette, currently the Attorney General and a Midland native. Bill Schuette has served as a United States Congressman, as the Director of the Michigan Department of Agriculture. He was a Michigan State Senator and a judge in the Michigan Court of Appeals. Following his 6 years as a judge on Michigan's Court of Appeals, he worked for private legal practice in the firm of Warner, Norcross, and Judd, where he served as senior counsel. Welcome, Attorney General Bill Schuette. Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, for arranging this forum. Been looking forward to this day. Also, Chad and Russ, I enjoyed the video, and incoming and outgoing chairman. So this is a great time. Listen, I got 5 minutes. Let's get to work. 3 things. First, my family. My wife, Cynthia, and I have been married 27 years. We have 2 children. Daughter Heidi is 25. Son Bill will be 23 in July. We call Midland our home. My father and stepfather were accomplished business guys, and I'm proud of their success. My wife's father is a 99-year-old World War II P-38 fighter pilot, and he's quite a guy. Second, my perspective on small business. Now, I view small business owners as a big deal because you're a big business, in my opinion, because the lion's share of the jobs created in Michigan and America are done by small business owners. And wherever I go, whether it's in Ironwood to visit Stormy Cromer, and I know Jean is here today, or whether it's a small business roundtable in West Michigan and Ottawa County or in southeastern Michigan, small business leaders talk to me about they need to have fewer rules, more flexible regulations, quicker permit time, lower taxes, incentives that are balanced, equally applicable to large and small businesses, and more people. And I very much appreciate your acceleration report that you did in conjunction with public sector consultants. Go to page 22, and you'll find 3 terrific recommendations. One was a small business representative on the governor's cabinet. Second, an acceleration board to encourage small business growth. And then thirdly, a point of contact within each state department to have greater customer service, which really means get things done quickly. And as your governor, I pledge you today, I will work with you to make sure those 3 recommendations are implemented in a Bill Schuette governor administration. What's my plan? What's my vision for growth in the state of Michigan? Well, 2018 is a time when we need a decision point. Are we going forward or are we going back? Well, we cannot go backwards. We've rebounded, thanks to our Republican team, but we're still 300,000 jobs short of where Michigan was during the Great Recession. And there are 55 counties in this state right now that have lost population. We need to grow, and that's why I'm running for governor. I'm running for governor to make sure Michigan is a growth state, a paycheck state, and a job state. And I intend to be Michigan's jobs governor. My plan, number 1, cut and eliminate the grand home income tax increase. It's cost Michigan families $8 billion. It's never been repealed. It needs to be. Second, auto insurance rates. You know, we have the highest auto insurance rates in the United States of America. On average, $1,000 more than any other state. In the past 8 years, nothing's been done. That's wrong. I was at a parade in southeastern Michigan a Sunday before Memorial Day in St. Clair Shores, and a guy came up to me and told me a story about his daughter not moving back to Michigan because of auto insurance rates were too high. And why would we punish someone who wants to come to Michigan? We want to grow our state when auto insurance rates are so high. We need to stop frivolous lawsuits, which means tort reform. We need to crack down on insurance fraud and give people, families, choices in terms of their insurance coverage. Third, education. Our third grade reading scores are among the lowest in America. That's an outrage. Now get this, so we have the highest auto insurance rates, among the lowest third grade reading rates. That has to change. When I'm governor, Michigan's children will read. We'll grade our schools A through F, make sure we have more apprenticeship programs and more choice for parents. Roads, well, nobody spends more time on the roads than I do in our 2 peninsulas and our 83 counties. We can't be a first world leader if we have third world roads. We need to, number one, have a full, complete review of MDOT and how they allocate dollars and how many miles per gallon of road are we paving. Second, we need to make sure that we have guarantees and warranties in all the road and bridge projects we have. Thirdly, by the elimination of the prevailing wage statute, which I supported, means another $250 million available for roads and bridges. And finally, in a state budget of $58 billion, we ought to be able to establish priorities, and roads funding is a priority. All of you here make decisions on priorities. We ought to make road funding a priority without raising taxes. Now listen, I've had the privilege to receive the endorsement of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Michigan Association of Realtors, Michigan Restaurant Association, but there's no more important endorsement than everybody here in your business and your families. And I love the endorsement of SBAM. I look forward to working with you as governor, and thank you for this opportunity to be here today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, General Schutte. We appreciate that. Next up is Jim Hines. Dr. Jim Hines, a physician. Dr. Hines spent 4 years in the Central African Republic, where he managed 2 mission hospitals and 20 urgent care facilities. At the time of his entrance into the 2018 gubernatorial election, Dr. Hines was the president of the Christian Medical and Dental Associations. He's also a small business owner. He owns a 7-physician medical practice with 45 employees. Prior to that, Dr. Hines served as the chief of medical staff at Covenant Healthcare. Please welcome Dr. Jim Hines.
It's great to be here. I'm Dr. Jim Hines, an OBGYN doctor out of Saginaw. I've been a physician for 38 years. I've delivered thousands of babies. I'm a robotic surgeon, a laser surgeon. I was on the teaching staff with MSU for 17 years and now with CMU for the last 5 years. I've been very happy in practice, but there are things that have taken me out of practice to run for governor. I was in Africa for 4 years with my wife Martha, who's here. I ran 2 hospitals and 20 urgent care facilities, started HIV clinics, started nutrition clinics. I'm an outsider. I am not a politician. I have a lifetime of experience as a business person, however. I've been a small business owner for 22 years. I'm the former chief of staff of Covenant Healthcare with over 500 doctors on staff and the former president of the Christian Medical and Dental Association with 18,000 members. I'm pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-family, pro-small limited government. My wife and I have been married for 43 years. We have 7 sons and 16 grandchildren. I'm running for governor because I want to make a better Michigan. I want to make a better Michigan by putting people first and not politics. 5 of my sons have all 16 of our grandchildren, and not a one of them live in Michigan. Not a one. I want to bring them back. I want to bring the families back that have left Michigan. I want to keep the families that we have. I want to keep the graduates from college and from grad school right here in Michigan. I am laser focused as a laser surgeon on jobs, education, and infrastructure. We need a Michigan where individuals and small businesses can thrive. And for that to happen, we have to keep taxes and regulations and spending under control. We have to decrease our taxes whenever we can. I want to decrease our personal income tax and fix our roads. It can be done. It has to be done. I want to bring back vocational trades. I want on-the-job training. I want to reform our auto insurance so that our workers can even get to work. I want to foster entrepreneurship. I want to boost apprenticeships and internships and scholarships. And I love the vocational village that we have in our prisons so that our prisoners, when they get out, they have a vocation that they can do. They can go to work. All able-bodied people need to work. We are so short. Everywhere I travel in this state, there are help wanted signs. We don't have the talent and we don't have the workers. We need to get that. We need a Michigan where families are strong and our kids are reaching their potential. There are way too many kids who can't read, way too many kids who are not ready to graduate or ready to go to college. That has to change. I strongly support school choice and local control and getting rid of Common Core. We need coaches in our schools to teach kids how to read. We need a training system like phonics to teach our kids to read. We need a Michigan where the water is clean and the potholes are rare. Let's get the lead out of our water. Let's get the PFAS and other chemicals. So we have 7,000 toxic sites right here in Michigan. Our roads are atrocious. They are terrible. We need to fix our roads with good quality material that will last a long time. We need to fix our potholes like the dentist fixes a cavity in your tooth. He doesn't just plop the stuff in. So what's my vision for Michigan for small businesses? It's a combination of jobs, education, and infrastructure. If we want to keep people and bring people here, we have to meet their needs. We have to meet their needs. I ask for your vote on August 7th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. Thank you, Dr. Hines. Next up is Senator Patrick Kolbeck. Senator Kolbeck is serving in his second term as a state senator from Northwest Wayne County. Prior to being elected, Senator Kolbeck has professional experience as an engineer with Boeing. Senator Kolbeck has an aerospace engineering degree from the University of Michigan and previously an owner of two different small businesses, one dealing with web hosting. He is an experienced small business owner. Welcome, Senator Patrick Kolbeck.
Thanks, sir. Welcome. Thank you very much, Rob. Like many of you in this audience, I understand the difference between a W-2 and a 1099. I am a small business owner. Matter of fact, I've been certified by Microsoft as a certified small business specialist. So I really welcome the opportunity to talk to a lot of my fellow small business owners. This is actually a path that I never thought I'd be on, to tell you the truth, going off and running for public office. But my first exposure into the need to get engaged in the public arena came in front of my TurboTax. And I was filling out my tax returns for the tax year. And I filled in all my income, and then I started filling in the taxes, and I started looking for my Michigan tax to go down. And you know what? It didn't start going down. All the expenses were going up, but the taxes were not going down. And that's when I knew something was wrong. And so I ran for public office back in 2010, became the first senator directly elected in the state Senate with zero political experience in over 3 decades, and defeated 4 former state representatives in the process. And so this is not something that comes easily to engineers, to go off and run for public office and actually provide facts and data to back up my points. But that's what I've done. Matter of fact, when I first got into the state Senate, I took on some of the biggest challenges we had, the job growth here in the state of Michigan. And that was by making Michigan the 24th right-to-work state, and I led the effort in the Michigan Senate. That was a big deal, because you get death threats. I'm from Wayne County. You get your phones tapped. You will find somebody here that is not afraid to speak truth to power. And you'll find somebody that actually seeks to what the best interests of the people that I serve at. I'm not really concerned what the lobbyists say. I'm concerned about what you, my fellow small business owners and citizens of Michigan, are concerned about. So I pursue something I call broad-based economic development. That's my focus. So we want to lower the cost of government. We're going to lower the cost of health care. We're going to lower the cost of electricity in the state. So how do you lower the cost of government? Well, you eliminate the state personal income tax, and the senior pension tax goes bye-bye right along with it. How do you do this? It's a bold goal, just like right to work was a bold goal, just like running for the Senate is a bold goal. I've got a practical, milestone-based plan to actually go off and achieve this. You can find it up on my website. You can also lower the cost of healthcare by 20% or more by promoting free market healthcare options and making Michigan the center of a free market healthcare revolution. If you go to Forbes.com and type in my name, you're going to find some of the most popular articles on how to reform our healthcare system. A lot of it focuses on something called direct primary care services, which gets the government, gets the insurance companies out of the middle of the doctor-patient relationship, and you can save over 20% on the cost of your health care by keeping people healthier and out of chronic conditions. Another key thing we can go off and do is lower our energy costs, and the way to go off and do that is by encouraging 100% energy choice. Right now, we're a 90% regulated utilities market. The 10% who have choice on the alternative energy supplier market pay 10 to 20% less on their electricity rates. Wouldn't it be nice if all of us had that option? Instead, what we've developed in Michigan is a kind of a picking winners and losers strategy. And I've got the best record out of anybody up here on fighting this cronyism approach to economic development. We all should be treated equally in our policies. When it also comes to regulatory reform, I have something called time is money economic development strategy. As an old management consultant who did a lot of project plans, I understand the critical path is something that is very important to people when you're going to kick something off. You want the shortest point between A and B in your schedule. And the best way to go off and do that is to keep the government off that critical path. That's what my time is money economic development strategy does. The other things around education, I got 31,000 job openings in my state, in my district right now. The issue is filling those with good qualified people. And the way to do that is by eliminating Common Core standards, by going back to empowering parents, teachers, and students, getting the feds and getting the state out of the middle of the classroom. And that's exactly what I'm going to go off and do. So when it comes into people that have supported me in this pursuit of making a broad-based economic development approach, we've got David Littman, former chief economist of Comerica Bank, because he knows that I look at the expense side of the ledger when it comes to solving problems like roads, not just the income side of the ledger. I've got the support of automotive legend Bob Lutz, because I take an innovative, fresh engineering perspective to solve the problems before us. And I would love to have your endorsement as the next governor of Michigan so we can take Michigan to new heights. God bless you all, and thank you very much for your time and your service.
Thank you very much. Yep, thanks. Next up is the former Senate Minority Leader, Senator Gretchen Whitmer, a Michigan native. She has served as a state senator representing Lansing and East Lansing, a state representative, and most recently the Ingham County prosecutor. Outside of public service, Senator Whitmer worked as a corporate litigator for Dickinson Wright, the law firm, and attended Michigan State University for both her bachelor's degree and her law degree. As I said, as a senator, she served as the Senate Minority Leader. Welcome, former Senator Gretchen Whitmer.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you. I am so pleased to be here with all of you, and I want to tell you first, before I get started, that the SBAM team is one of the finest at the Capitol. It was a privilege to have worked very closely with Rob and Tony Stamas over the years. I served with Tony in the Senate, and they do a great job on your behalf. It's a tough job they have. I'm running for governor because I love the state of Michigan. I am proud to be a Michigander. But I look around at the Michigan in which my kids are growing up, and they're sitting over there with Chris Holman right now. Their Michigan does not live up to the Michigan I think of when I talk about my pride. This was the place that people used to flock to for economic opportunity, for a high quality of life. You knew if you came to Michigan, whether it was coming from Kentucky or Tennessee or Alabama or halfway around the world, you could come here to our state, make a good living that paid you well enough you could raise your family up and retire with dignity. In our state, you knew no matter what community you settled in, your children were going to have a phenomenal public school education. In Michigan, the state that put the whole world on wheels, you could travel those roads safely and get to your destination. And the state that is home to 21% of the world's fresh water, you could be confident that the water coming out of your tap was safe enough to bathe your children and give them a glass at the dinner table. We have serious issues that we need to tackle. I am no stranger to taking on tough issues. And I know that not every good idea comes from one side of the aisle or another. We have to work together to address these issues. Now, when I graduated from MSU, I chose to stay here. I never actually thought about living anywhere else. I knew I wanted to raise my family here. But it was because I was here when my mom got sick with brain cancer, I was able to take care of her at the end of her life. It was at the same time that I was just giving birth to my daughter, 2.5 months before my mom died. Those were the toughest 2 years of my life. But those 2 years made me who I am today. Compel the work that I do to solve problems for people. And it eliminated my patience for people that just want to politicize issues instead of rolling up their sleeves and working together to solve problems. Now, I know how important small business is to this state. I talk to my husband about it every single day because he is a small business owner right here in Lansing. I know that the growth in our economy is coming from small business. And you need a governor who values that. I will make sure that as governor, I have a cabinet level member who is focused on small business development in Michigan so that your voice is a part of every decision that's made. As governor, I'm going to get to work with a real plan to fix the damn roads because those roads, the failure of leadership in this town has created a situation where it's downright dangerous. And we are all paying to fix our cars instead of paying to fix the roads. No more phony solutions. No more part-time fixes. We have to get serious, and I put a real plan on the table to fix the roads. But we also have a talent issue in Michigan. This was the state that had the best skilled workforce on the planet. And now we have too few people in 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees, and in the trades. And there is integrity in every one of those paths. But young people don't even know that they exist, much less how to navigate them. And that's why I'm running on a 2-year talent investment to make sure that for every graduate has a real path to a debt-free community college degree, or they can use that kind of investment to bring down the cost of a 4-year degree, or a path into the trades. There is honor and integrity in all paths, but we need to skill up as a state. I am so grateful that SBAM has partnered with the MEA because the education system in Michigan, we are failing generations of kids, and we all pay when that happens. While we may not all agree on every solution and every issue, we know that the fact is that until we fix the education system, all these other things don't mean a hill of beans. We've got to fix education, and we're going to do it together. That's my commitment. I would love to have your support in this election, and I would be honored to work with you to solve these problems.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Next up is Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley. He has served as our Lieutenant Governor for the past 7.5 years. Prior to that, he was both a county commissioner and a state representative prior to becoming Lieutenant Governor. In an Ionia native, Governor Calley attended Michigan State University and Grand Valley State University. He had a career in banking prior to holding elected to office. Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley.
Well, thank you so much, Rob, and thank you for the invitation to be here. I count it as a special honor to be with the folks that make so much happen in our community, created so much opportunity. You know, most of you know me as the Lieutenant Governor, but I had a whole different life before holding public office. I was in community banking for about 10 years, if you count the mailroom where I started. But I went from the mailroom to vice president commercial lending. I made business loans, small business loans to be precise. And what I saw in the in the middle of the last decade, that we now refer to as the lost decade, was a lot of my customers, the people that I dealt with every day, people that have been in business for a long time, sometimes generations, they were struggling just to survive. And I looked at the state, and what I saw was the state's economic development strategy was basically twofold. Desperately cling to the past and hope that somehow it would magically return, and to convince somebody from someplace else in the world to come in here and save us. When I knew the best answer was to build an environment of success around the people that were already here. So I decided I'd run for office. You know, and I ran and I won. In 2007, I started my time in the state legislature. Those are some dark times in Michigan's history when the economy was really struggling and our kids were leaving our state. And that's when I first met and worked with the Small Business Administration or Association of Michigan. What an outstanding organization. We worked on tax reform. You know, when small businesses needed somebody to engage at a time when there was risk of the filing threshold wiped out, so many businesses would be pulled into the Michigan business tax, I had the courage to engage. Others were hiding under their desks. But small businesses needed an advocate at the table, and so I was that advocate at the table. When there was an opportunity to get an expanded small business credit inserted in there, I was the advocate at the table when small business needed an advocate at the table. Knowing full well the way that it would be used politically in the future, 171,000 businesses in our state were saved from the Michigan business tax because of that work. One of the proudest honors of my life, and to this day it's still in my bio, is that I was the Legislator of the Year for the Small Business Association of Michigan because of my work on the small business credit. Now, I almost got back into the private sector a few years later because I found state government so frustrating. And that's when I met Rick. And we teamed up and we had an opportunity to totally reinvent our state. And we did major tax reform. In this case, when we were driving, we scrapped the old tax code. No more double taxation of small companies like it had been for the last 40 years, but instead create that environment of success around the people that were already here. Next major round of tax reform was the industrial personal property tax and the small parcel exemption. Because I think when you make an investment in equipment, you ought to get a thank you note, not a tax bill. We stayed at the table for 2 years working that out. It took courage and perseverance and determination, but also bringing people together to make it happen. It was balanced budgets and regulatory reform, got rid of a couple thousand rules and regulations. You know, in the beginning, our biggest problem was not enough jobs. Today, what I hear from the most rural of places, the most urban of places in our state, the biggest problem I hear, the biggest complaint I hear from business, not enough people to fill all the jobs. And that is why my top priority is education and the Marshall Plan for Talent. Because if you want to have a good outcome, you have to have a good beginning. Talent is the new currency of economic development. When you have the people that can do the work, you get the investment, the economic growth. And so the focus in this area, making sure our kids start school ready to learn, that every single kid learns to read, but you also bring back skilled trades to our education system. Prepare kids for life, not just taking tests. But beyond that, it's also about helping our kids learn how to work. You know, the week before last, I personally signed legislation that allows high schools to give high school students credit for working. We shouldn't be protecting our kids from work. Work is good for you. I started work when I was 12 years old. When I graduated from Michigan State at 21, I've been in the workforce for 9 years. I was way ahead of my peers because of that. We shouldn't protect our kids from work. We should encourage it. We should accommodate it. The Marshall Plan for Talent brings back skilled trades, certificate-based education, competency-based education in a really big way because there is a world of opportunity out there. And when we connect our people to that opportunity, it means that all of you have the tools that you need, the resources that you need to grow because you have the people that can do the work. And so for small business, I think the most important thing that we can do, Rob, is to make sure that our people are connected with everything they need to compete and thrive in a 21st century global economy. From an economic development standpoint, it's things like Pure Michigan Business Connect and helping people get that first government contracting sale with the defense industry, or helping them get that first international export sale, the sort of gift that keeps on giving. I want to thank you so much for your willingness to be such an important member of our community and driving this economic future. I'm running for governor. My name is Brian Kelly. I would be honored to have your support.
Thank you, Governor Kelly. Next up is Dr. Abdul El Sayed, a native of Michigan. Dr. El Sayed attended the University of Michigan. After graduation, he became a Rhodes Scholar, obtaining a doctorate from Oxford University. Dr. El Sayed then went on to attend Columbia University Medical School, earning his medical degree and becoming a professor of public health. After Detroit's bankruptcy, Dr. El Sayed was hired in 2015 to manage the newly privatized health department. And he continued to hold that position until 2017 when he left to become a full-time candidate for governor. Please welcome Dr. Abdul El Sayed.
All right, good afternoon. Now, come on. I know the only thing small about you guys is the businesses you run. Good afternoon. All right. I don't look like the usual candidate for governor. I know that. As more of my established political friends tell me, Abdul, it's not that we disagree with what you have to say. It's just that you're a little bit young. You're also a little bit brown and a little bit Muslim. How's that going to work out? Let me tell you why I'm running. I had the privilege of rebuilding Detroit's health department after it had been shut down when state emergency managers rolled through the city of Detroit. And we rebuilt it around the well-being of kids, doing things like providing every child a free pair of glasses, standing up against big corporate polluters when they wanted to pollute the air our children breathe every day, and making sure that our kids weren't being exposed to lead in the schools where we concentrate them most of the day, most of the year. Now, every project that we took on, every single one, led us to the door of a politician. And you know what? Those doors don't open for people like you and me. They open for the big corporations who can come in with their $68,000 checks and all the other checks they run through things like 527s or C4s, whatever those are. I'm running this campaign without touching a dime of that corporate money because I know every single dollar that flows into our system is a dollar that puts folks like you behind. If you look at our state, we are the second biggest subsidizer of corporations in the entire United States. And those corporations, they have not yielded a net job. You are the folks who create those jobs. And I want to speak to what it is that matters when we talk about building small business in our state. Because right now we're failing that. My grandfather, one of my favorite people in the world, he was a very small business owner. He sold vegetables in a market in Alexandria. And he used to tell me, it's not about the price, it's about the product. People will come back if you have the best product. And as a state right now, we have not had the best product, and the prices are too high too. And so we have to ask ourselves, how do we build out that product? And I will speak to four things. Number one, infrastructure. We have some of the worst infrastructure in the entire country, and it's not just roads. But if you're driving your light trucks up and down a road like Mound Road, which I have to drive in Macomb County every day, you and I both know you're paying way too much just in fixing your light trucks. We've got a plan, a pure Michigan infrastructure bank that would allow us to invest more, invest smarter, and invest over the long term. Second, talent. We are hemorrhaging talent because we're not investing in it. When I graduated from my public high school, we were in the top 10 nationwide in educational attainment. Today, we are in the bottom 10. That's because we are not investing in a smart way. We have to be thoughtful about allowing parallel paths for our young people to walk, and we've got to make sure that we are investing appropriately. We spend less per pupil per year than any other state in the Midwest, and I'm not trying to be Mississippi. So we've got a responsibility there. Number three, healthcare. If you're a small business owner, like the small business owners that I've spoken to across this state, one of the biggest headaches you have is having to fork over a ton of money to some big insurance corporation just to watch your own employees fight them for the thing you already paid for. We've got a program called MichiCare. MichiCare would provide every Michigander access to health care. It would cut costs on the average Michigander by about $5,000 a year. And 75% of businesses would not have to pay a dime, freeing you of your time and your resources. And then number four, we talked about the light trucks driving up and down Mound Road. And the fact is that the drivers have to pay insurance, and it's way too expensive. We've got a plan to reverse the rates. What does that mean? That means that we are establishing a Truth in Insurance Commission so that people like you and I can stand up and make sure that those auto insurers are held accountable. It means that we are passing anti-redlining bills so that if you own a business in Detroit, your driver is not paying substantially more than if they just lived north of 8 Mile. And it means that if we pass health insurance, we can stop asking auto insurance to be health insurance too. Now, I want to tell you about the Rick I know, and he's not the one who served as governor. The Rick I know is my uncle. My uncle Rick, for a long time, he owned a trucking business. And in 2008, he lost his business. And for the next 10 years, he watched as our state continued to subsidize corporations to the detriment of the economy in communities like his in Gratiot County, Michigan, right in the middle of the state. And my uncle is somebody who believes deeply in our state, but he's moved to Florida. We've got a responsibility to make sure that our state government product is good and that the prices are fair. And that means we are breaking the corporate chokehold that they have on our economics. We are recognizing that our economic responsibility is to you, small business owners who create jobs in our state, and that we are creating a system where fairness is the most important thing. That is about a politics that brings us all together, that evens the playing field for all of us. I know we can do it, but only together, and I look forward to working with you on doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. El Sayed. And finally, Dr. Sri Thanadar, a native of India. Dr. Thanadar worked at the Baba Atomic Research Center before immigrating to the United States. Dr. Thanadar obtained American citizenship in 1988 and has owned and operated 3 different pharmaceutical companies since, his latest being Avamine Analytical Systems. Dr. Thanadar was also named Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year in 1999, 2007, and 2016. He was also recognized as one of the 50 companies to watch in Michigan. Welcome, Dr. Sri Thanadar.
Thank you, Rob and Tony. I'm a member of SBAM for many years, and I'm grateful to the award that I received from SBAM. My company was honored to be the 50 Michigan companies to watch. My name is Sri Thanadar again. Some of you may have seen that and been trained on television. And I'm sorry to interrupt your dinner with those ads. But I came to Michigan. Michigan gave me many breaks so I could achieve my American dream. And I'm running to be the next governor of our great state because I want to help Michiganders achieve their American dream. American dream is fading all across America, is fading more so in Michigan than any other place that I know. And that's what prompted me to run for governor. I'm an immigrant. I immigrated to the United States back in 1979. There is a rumor I had $20 in my pocket, which is not true. I had $16, as I had a couple beers on the plane. I got a PhD in chemistry at the University of Akron, and the University of Michigan offered me my first job, and that was the break that I got at the University of Michigan. I worked as a scientist there from 82 to 84. In 84, got a job out of state. And in 1990, I got a loan from a bank, $75,000 loan, and I bought a 3-person service business, chemical testing, chemical analysis, innovation service business. As soon as I bought the business, the owner retired and her secretary retired, so I just had 1 employee. That's what I inherited. And I grew that business. In about 6 years, the business grew to a couple million in revenues from the $150,000 revenue per year that it had when I bought the company. And the business kept growing. In 6 years, the business was about 18 employees. And like tragedies happen, sometime I lost my wife. She suffered from mental illness. And my children were 4 and 8 years old, and I raised them as a single father until I met this wonderful woman, my wife, Shashi. Stand up, please. And she came to our home, and she took a broken home, and she gave so much love and so much compassion to make our home a happy home again. The 2 boys I'm so proud of, they grew up, became graduates of Ross Business Schools, and they're entrepreneurs on their own. The business kept growing, and in 2008, I had grown to about 450 employees, 65 million in revenues. And then came the recession. And in that, many of my customers went belly up, who were funded by venture capital, and the bank took over my entire business. And my wife and I put our assets in a budget rental truck in 2010 and drove to Ann Arbor, taking turns, and rented a little space, found a little space to rent, and it used to be a lab. I took that lab, and last 6 years, I created 50 good-paying jobs in Ann Arbor, Michigan. When we got our last third Entrepreneur of the Year award, we decided that it's not about our family. Our family is doing good. I want to devote the rest of my life to public service. I sold my business, took $1.5 million, gave it to all my 50 employees, and I distributed that based on their length of service. There's a lot that needs to be done in Michigan, but I will just give you one example. When Michigan offered $4 billion to Amazon, Amazon did not accept that, and they said, go fix your education, go fix your infrastructure. You don't have enough skilled workers. And that's what I will be focusing on. I want to be the best education governor Michigan ever had. I will work on creating skilled workforce. You will have a friend in the governor's office as a small business owner. You will be at my table when I make decisions. We make decisions together to solve Michigan's problems. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shri. Well, how about a big round of applause for all of the candidates? Terrific. So I want to thank you all for sharing your vision about Michigan, what you would do for small business. I want to thank you for making the sacrifice. I think more than most we may understand what a grind a campaign, a statewide campaign is, and what a responsibility serving as the governor of the state is. So thank you all for putting your hat in the ring, for being in the arena and competing.